So now we're kind of going to move into our expand segment. So when we expand, we really want to look at how does it look to begin this PL journey if you're thinking about making the shift. But don't worry, if you have already made the shift, thank you for sticking with us. We want to show you how to scale it. Let's start here. Okay, my friends, that was a fast and furious trailer, but that is exactly what it is. It is a trailer. This is something that was created very quickly because with our Atlanta Public Schools team, when we think about shared messaging, seen three things in that video. We saw that they acknowledged a common experience. Okay, so we know that things are different. We know that there's a shift. And there is. And if you don't feel it, it should be. We should not be back to business as usual. Then there's this idea of shared messaging that went out to the entire district. This is a mention of the redesign. So it's a little teaser. It's no different than having a Jordan Peele release months and months or even a year earlier before the premiere. And then you have this notion of we are sharing details. So I may not know when the day this movie premieres, but I know the year and the month. So being transparent with how we share messaging is critical. In my opinion, that is a critical step that I have seen often gets lost so that when it rolls out, it can sometimes fall apart. So a common wondering that we see is, hey, I kind of like it. I'm buying what you're selling. Mika in Africa. However, I need to know what are some considerations. I don't know who to get on board with me. Easy. There are three options, maybe even more. And I champion you to think of a fourth option. The first option is maybe you want to start with everybody. Maybe if you start with everybody, you feel like, hey, I can develop everybody and all of my team members can feel on the same accord as me. And even when people are onboarded, they can feel on the same page. Well, those are the benefits, as well as students all have the same experience or a similar exposure to them. Maybe there's an alignment that says, hey, our campus has an action plan. This fits well. It may even be coupled with your current grants or new ideas that have come on, because everybody knows we have a full plate and we don't want to add anything to that meal. Then there's this idea of a benefit of if everybody's on there, then I don't have to worry about who I ask. Somebody in my content or somebody in my grade level can have the answers. And it really makes sense for year two. We've all done it. We've all figured out what worked and didn't. We can all have a conversation. These are benefits, but then the risks are, what if people don't buy in? Or what if monitoring is difficult? What if you're down in AP or there's a transition in what the school's biology or makeup looks like? So this is option one. Option two talks about people who want to volunteer. We can campaign and we can market to the entire campus. And there will always be, just like when you're in school, those high flyers or individuals who really feel like, hey, I have the capacity to do this. I've already done flipped instruction last year doing that long-term spring break. Y'all remember it? Yes, back when COVID kept us home a little bit longer and then we had shelter or stay in place. But the other benefit is there are success points that can be discussed as well as learning pits. What did we learn? What did we do? If I'm volunteering, I probably have a lot to share from personal experience. The risks are you don't know how many people feel like that. You may have only one person that feels that way, and that's okay. We support everyone who wants to put the person and personalized learning. Another thing to consider is, well, let's say I have 50 people. Okay. Their planning times might not be congruent. So how do you manage that? Here is the option that we support all of them. This is the one that we feel like is the Goldilocks method. Not too big, not too small, just right. Option 3 allows individuals, whether they're shifting to PL or expanding, consider what's the target content area or what's the target grade level, and then expand. So you can know what's the readiness. You already have an understanding. Your teams have an understanding. No matter who's in this room with all of our participants, hey, y'all, we know where we are. We also know that we have proof of success because teachers are doing this work to some degree. So all my teachers, hey, y'all, pat the stuff on the back. 1, 2, 3. And that is because you become the success point. And you can then enable others to feel empowered if you are a part of that way. Now, there are some risks. I don't want to be a toxic, positive person. So making sure that you know that without a concrete plan to expand, those experiences will not sustain. So that's important. And also, the individuals that we choose that agree, that feel like this is a great space, we have to really make sure what we deem as the right space is the right space. Or if not, that careful selection may fall incongruent. So what else, Mika? Well, let me tell you. Another wondering that Africa and I have faced, whether it's with APS or Loudoun County, shout out to Loudoun County as well, or any of our other teams, please, in the chat, drop where you're from. I bet we have some connecting conversations that can come up. Say, I have this idea of, I love it. I want to shift. I think this is good. I'm buying what you're selling, but how do I know if we're ready? Well, one way you know you're ready is this screen. To my friends who are reading this, it doesn't matter if you're thinking about why districts shift, if you are ready to shift, or if you have already shifted. It all stems back to this matrix. We have to understand that if we truly want to start a thing, maintain a thing, and then continue a thing, we have to understand the components that exist. So if people come to you and say, hey, I'm confused, maybe the vision is unclear. That's where EE can support. That's where our teams develop problem statements. If individuals come to you and say, hey, I'm frustrated. Okay, well, maybe the resources don't exist. That's where EE can really tap in and say, hey, these are some things that we can use, or we can help to dig up things that will be meaningful, to your teams. And finally, if individuals say, I don't know where to start, I feel stuck, that's okay. That's actually normal. It is our expertise to be able to figure out that action plan so that you can know the why and the how, be it starting or shifting to PL, to sustaining support and maintaining it. One of the actual resources we use, this is an example, and we really rely upon this when we're thinking about, okay, I think I want option 1, or I think I want option 2. Okay, great. You've got your option in mind. Now, where does your option fall when we're trying to invite them to participate? It's one thing to volunteer. It's quite another to be voluntold. So we offer this rubric to say, hey, if we mention this market it or campaign or even say, hey, I think you should reach out and think about this. How does this align with your current initiatives? We want to look at the why in red. Another bullet might be, well, a person might like it. It might make sense to them, but the dates don't match up. Or maybe there's a struggle with how the structure looks, or I can't get the connections right. That is the job of education elements to help make sense of it. Once you get out of the pieces, look at what happens. Look at what it looks like when people are prototyping in the lower right quadrant. And these are people all over the country, but I'm really noting that there are individuals who are working as school teams, but they're also the products of teachers who have been to these same sessions. I think another one is a parent's perspective in the upper right-hand quadrant. I don't know if it's there or there with a flip screen, but love that the PL team, Sam Houston and DISD really talked about how the parent perspective mattered.